Hello, I'm Robbie Fowler and you're watching Redmen TV.
Hello, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's the uncensored match build-up show ahead of Liverpool facing off against Emile Heskey and Speo's Bolton side in the FA Cup fourth round. I'm joined by Chris Pajak and the man, the legend behind This Is Anfield.com, Mr. Matt Ladson. Matt, I'll start with you first. We've obviously done a lot of discussion in and around Liverpool content this week, post-Chelsea, pre-Chelsea. How important is it for the team not to focus too much on the second leg of the semi-final and keep their heads in the FA Cup?
Yeah, I mean, I think that momentum is such an important part of football. We saw that with the run back in the spring last year and what we're going on now again. So, we've got to get the job done. So it's vital that we don't slip up, and I really don't think that even a replay would be extremely unhelpful, really, given our fixtures. So yeah, I think that it's very important, really, that we keep the momentum going, and I know that we're going to talk about the discussion of rotation, so I don't think that that there should be too much rotation because of that. It'd be Chelsea can probably afford to do 11 changes.
Yeah, be interesting to see how.
I think that they will. They quite well could, but we don't quite have 11 players of the calibre that they do to come straight in.
I think you'd worry, wouldn't you? And I think we've seen already, Chris, haven't we, that the success, like Matt's talking about, almost like the success they've built on this season, keeping a core side in there. The success we had last season was exactly the same, keeping as much of the same team playing together for as many games as possible. Now, part of you does think, well, look, we won't have a good run at the FA Cup. It looks like a good chance of us to pick up some silverware, to maybe even, if worst comes to worst, get some European football of some description. The same's true for the League Cup, though, isn't it? And with the games in such close proximity to each other, there must be a temptation there to think, we've really got to go and get a result at Stamford Bridge. It's Bolton. Do we maybe not go full strength for the game of the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a large part of our starting team play together, but I do think there's got to be a little bit of a focus on the Chelsea game, to be honest. And this is a really good example of the FA devaluing their own competitions again, though. Because in what fucking world do you put a two-legged tie around an FA Cup competition? It seems balmy to me that they do that. Yeah. They schedule when the games are going to be. Why have they done it like that? I just don't understand it. It is they've done it for years. They devalue their own competitions, and they're continuing to do it by having this fixture pile up.
But do we run the risk of fucking ourselves to an extent here? If we do play, because we're definitely going to play a full strength team. The best team we possibly can put out is going to go out against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. It has to. Yeah. So if we take any sort of gamble against Bolton, it's all well and good saying, let's put our strongest team out for Chelsea next week, but we could get knocked out to Bolton and we could get knocked out by Chelsea, and there you go, there's our domestic cups gone within the space of 4 days because we've not planned it right.
Well, yeah, and then arguably in a way, like, it's a big part of the season is gone, because fourth is a massive challenge, and Europa League is just a totally different kettle of fish.
And a completely
totally different shit.
A different show with an entirely different vibe will be the Europa League.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Like, it's a no-win for Rodgers. Like, it's literally a no-win. If he rests players and we don't get a result, he's back to being the devil again. Like, and if he plays a full strength team and then we don't get a result, or we play a full strength team and then we don't win against Chelsea because we played a full strength team like 3 days earlier. So yeah, he's in very much a no-win situation, and like Chris is saying, really, it's no help from the FA and the Football League for scheduling it the way that they have. But it's a problem that we should be able to deal with. Let's be completely honest about it. There's no reason why we can't rotate like 3 or 4 players, but keep like the nucleus of the team together. That should be more than enough to deal with Bolton.
There should be. I mean, look, Bolton are 14th in the Championship at the moment. Not a great side. They've got the oldest strike force in the history of world football.
What was it, Matt?
I don't know if it's 70. My maths is terrible.
You said 72 before.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite. It might be 68.
Maybe. We could probably check this out. We probably should have done.
Yeah.
They'll be in the 70s.
Well, what's Heskey, 36?
Yeah.
And what's Good Johnson, 30?
47 himself.
There you go.
Either way, yeah. Quality, but the fact that they've got some quality experienced players, but you're dead right there. It is Bolton. They shouldn't be underestimated. But even if we do actually put out less than what we would class as our first strength team, the players who are coming in should be good enough and should want to prove themselves good enough in this game.
This is the point, isn't it? I mean, we should technically be able to change 8 or 9 players. It doesn't quite work like that. But don't forget, we built the squad around Champions League football this season. So the idea was we were going to be having a title challenge and playing Champions League football. And
Or was it?
But, this was the idea. We wanted to build on second place, at least challenge for the title. We were going to be playing Champions League football, and yet we're worried about changing these players in for Bolton. They were 14th in the Championship.
But I think it's that fear, isn't it? We've seen it because of the way the slow start to the season. I think it's just probably just being a fact. It'll probably be fine. But because we have that fear of, like the green shoots of recovery are there, we don't want it all nipped off by lose at the minute. I think emotionally, I don't think we're prepared to handle Liverpool losing games at the minute. We kind of just want to see this continue.
We've been done by Bolton before, haven't we, in the FA Cup?
So, I know, I was there for that third round game at Anfield.
It's
nice.
Not wanting to, because you are kind of a laughing stock. It's always on the weekend. It's who's looking for the big shock. Who's going to be the shock? There was nobody in the third round. There was no upset. So the media are, desperate for it, and we don't want it to be Liverpool again. Like we've already had enough this weekend.
Lifetime, just in general.
This season, in general, like. It's not something we want. It's the Saturday night game, and
I just can't. It's just these FA Cup games. Like I say, I was there, Bolton and one of the Bristol sides as well. In fact, we lost to Bolton. We won the FA Cup in '92, didn't we? And then the next season, got them in the third round. Had a replay, come back, brought them back to Anfield, and
lost that. Yeah.
Coventry did that as well, but these are more third round stuff. So let's hope the fourth round. It's time to kick on. Question then.
It's 73, by the way. The answer.
There you go. Did we not lose the fourth round to Oldham in Rodgers' first season? Yeah. Just that's what we've got to avoid.
Come on, Matt. We're trying to raise the tempo. Yeah, before we talk more about Liverpool, I want to talk about Emile Heskey and Jay Spearing.
I still heart Spearing.
I heart Spearing. Big day. I felt he was one of them, wasn't he? And we've talked about, obviously, with Gerrard obviously ended as Liverpool career at the end of the season. We've talked about all these players who've come in that interim period between Gerrard breaking into the team and Jordan Rossiter being touted as the next big thing. We've had so many of those players, and Jay Spearing was one of them, and he had at that time when everyone thought he was garbage, and he had that spell when everyone thought he was really good.
I don't think he was ever thought of as being like as good as Steven Gerrard.
No, but he naturally
even
saying
potential. I don't remember it that way anyway.
But it was. I think it was like
the first team player was what we were hoping.
No. I think when he came up through the academy, he was. He was being touted as like, Gerrard. He was never going to be Gerrard because he's half his size. You know what I mean? He could never have been the same type of player as Steven Gerrard
was. The Hobbit version of Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The Dr. Evil clone version of Steven Gerrard. But he certainly was thought of in very high regard coming up. Through the team, much like John Welsh, although obviously with a better set of abilities as it would appear. I don't know. I like Spearing. Do you have fond memories of Jay Spearing as a Liverpool player, or do we just remember him?
I'm seeing it now already on his face.
Everybody's favourite Spearing is the Champions League. Real Madrid 4-0. He comes on, he's singing his name, and that's as good as it got. Let's be honest. I don't quite remember him being as hyped as you seem to remember, Paul. But maybe that's just my memory, or yours.
Or mine, yeah.
But, I mean, I'm surprised that Spearing hasn't gone on to at least be like a solid Premier League player for a mid-table, lower-table club. Like, when he went to Bolton, I was kind of surprised that nobody had come in for him from a Premier League team.
Yeah, because you're thinking if Catamol can do it for so many years.
Yeah, exactly. But
you even look at the Danny Gutteries of this world were getting Premier League football. Gosling, I know Gosling's back down in the Championship now, but he'd had a little spell, at Newcastle and what have you, and you would have thought Spearing, because look, his career never quite kicked on. I remember him getting getting dropped into the team. I think it was actually the beach ball goal game at Sunderland, and Benitez threw him in, and he looked all at sea, he looked completely utterly out of his depth. But under Dalglish, and even a little bit, I don't know if he even got a game under Rodgers, but under that, in the Dalglish bit, he actually got in the team. It was that getting some Scousers into the into the mix and stuff, and I thought he looked a decent player. It's sad, it's sad, isn't it, when you because you want local lads to succeed. We wish him all the best, just not at the weekend. And Emile Heskey, one of the nicest men in football. Again, I hope he does exactly what he used to do for us in the worst games at the weekend, where flatters to deceive, I think is what we're looking for. But another one in it, Matt, we were talking about like the archetypal sort of complete centre forward. There was that 6-month period around the treble and stuff where he was it. He was, pace, power, direct running, shooting from distance.
He kept Fowler out of the team.
He scored 11 goals in 6 months around there after we signed.
Well, I think like his first full season in all competitions, he scored like over 20 goals. And that's always commendable, especially because at the time we had Fowler, Owen, Heskey, and Litmanen, and the four of them were being rotated quite a lot. So it wasn't like he was playing 50 games and scoring 20. Yeah, he was probably had a pretty good ratio. He was always very much a confidence player, wasn't he? He was like the stereotype of he was a confidence player, and I don't think the rotation.
Scoring patches as well.
Yeah, he'd be on fire and he'd score a hat-trick at Derby or whatever it was, and then not score for 9 weeks, and it was difficult for him to get out of it.
He was the perfect foil for Owen at the time, though, wasn't he?
During that campaign,
they built up this rapport for England, like under 18s, was it? They first started playing together and stuff like that. And
I actually did an interview with him in the summer, and if I can think on, I'll throw out this week. But he talks about Michael Owen, all the players he played with. He just enjoyed playing with them for exactly that thing. They had that game. It was the big man, little man thing, and he actually. It was a shame to some extent because he had so much more to his game, but probably being with Michael Owen made him more of a rounded centre forward than he perhaps needed to be. In another team, at Leicester, he was the main man, even though he was a bit young. But he look at what we did for England. Everyone used to talk about what he did for the team rather than, and which is like. It's one of those backhanded sort of compliments, isn't it? When it's like saying, yeah.
It's like James Milner.
Yeah.
That kind of talk.
Works really hard for the side, really good work rate, really good. Like Dirk Kuyt as well, that kind of thing. To be fair, Emile Heskey, as I said before, he had everything, but maybe just mentality didn't quite have that killer edge.
Because he's too nice a guy.
Yeah. Well, the first time I met him and I actually said, he is exactly like I imagine him being from watching him play football. I thought he's going to be lovely, and he was lovely. And if he'd been more of a bellend, he probably would have been one of the greatest players ever to play the game.
For us as well, his form dropped as the team's form dropped, and when Houllier, in all honesty, kind of lost the plot and started playing Owen in a withdrawn role, and then Heskey was. It was all a bit of a mess, wasn't it? Whereas 2002 World Cup, was that the one where Heskey and Owen were up front together and looked quite good?
Well, I still hark back to that 2001 era where we had the 6 month period where it was Liverpool winning the treble, England beating Germany 5-1, and then the start of the season we won the Super Cup as well. And he played Oliver Kahn twice in that period and scored. Absolutely had him on toast, basically. As much as a centre forward can have a goalkeeper on toast. I don't know how relevant that is, but yeah, he was phenomenal. But I always used to look at him and go, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank for me had the same build, he had the same skill set,
even the same style shot. That low backlift,
power,
powerful shot.
Hasselbank was a bellend. And he's probably a nice fella, in the real world. But he had that killer instinct that made him a better centre forward in some regards. And Heskey just kind of lacked that a little bit to stop him from being.
Because in fairness, you can be a nice guy off the pitch, but once you cross that line, Suarez was the best for it, wasn't he?
Yeah. Suarez, lovely fella in person, clearly an absolute
wants to fucking win. That's
absolute bellend on the pitch, yeah. And but the best players aren't they? So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing both of them, and as long as they don't have good games, that'll be terrific.
I don't know if Heskey will even start with it. I don't know if he's been starting for him.
I just want to see him back.
He came on and scored, didn't he? But I don't know if if he started since then. But yeah,
It'd be interesting to see them back anyway. Okay, question of going back to Liverpool. Like you talked about the potential for maybe 4 players getting rested. You know, I'm not necessarily saying nailed on, but who would be in contention to go out and who would be in contention to come in, do you think?
I think that you've got to look at it with Chelsea in mind and look at players that have not had as much rest time as some of. So Lucas, for instance, you know, he had like 4 months rest at the start of the season. So I'd stick with him.
Mm-hmm.
Henderson, apart from Sterling, he's probably played more minutes than anybody else. So I'd probably look at, you know, resting Henderson. Markovic maybe, it might, you know, he's only 20, he's been playing a lot of football recently, I'd maybe rest him. Do you rest Sterling and bring in like Barini or Lambert?
I think the immediate cry is going to be, hang on, he was on the beach in Jamaica a week ago.
But you've got to be looking at 4 or 5 weeks' time when we've got a busy time and tough fixtures, like not just looking at this 2 games when you're looking at Sterling's development. And to be honest, if we signed Ricky Lambert and then, you know, we've got Bolton at home, if we didn't sign him for these games, then what the heck did we sign him for?
I think the problem with Ricky Lambert is that, look at the AFC Wimbledon game, Ricky Lambert did not look a player 4 divisions better than AFC Wimbledon, you know what I mean? And that was the issue. So I agree, the logic is he's nailed on to come into this game. Fabio Barini should be nailed on to come into this game, and they should be more than enough to see Bolton off. And they should be, but
I don't think that he will be. I don't think he'll do that.
Says be wary.
No, I think that he'll be. You know, maybe Lallana come in and start. Maybe Manquillo.
Probably.
Yeah, give Coutinho a rest. Like, he's played a hell of a lot of football since the sort of change in system. Mm-hmm. We spoke about it on the transfer roundup, didn't we? But Jordan Ayew, like, if we've recalled him, then surely this is why we've recalled him.
Got to come back.
You can't just recall him to get 5 minutes at the end of this game.
Yeah.
This is maybe the one where it is a chance to play him. Does he rest Moreno and put Enrique in on the other side? You know, as much as we don't want to see these, but there's got to be some sort of...
Enrique should be better than the players he's coming up against. Should be, whether he is or not. But the fact that you're right, it's personal opinion on Enrique, isn't it? Whether we like it or not, he's
everybody shares the same personal opinion.
Exactly, everybody. But yeah, he's a Premier League quality fullback, and we're playing the Championship side. If you put them in there, Jose Enrique should have more than enough. You know, we'll have to see on the day, but that's the logic behind it anyway.
I don't know whether he will make that many changes. But
Jordan Rossiter?
Personally, I'd bring him in for Henderson in the middle. Why not?
Yeah.
Lucas and Rossiter in the middle. Lallana and maybe Gerrard behind Sterling. Mm-hmm. And then look to bring Barini on quite early. And then bring Ayew or Manquillo in for Markovic on the other side. So you've only made 3 changes there. Yeah. Henderson, Markovic and Coutinho coming out. Yeah, that would be that sort of thing.
I'd maybe go one more and maybe go Barini for Sterling as well. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think good cases made. Let us know where you're watching at home. What I mean, as we say there, if you want to give us your first 11, by all means. But I mean, for you, what kind of players? Something about the studio.
That cough.
That cough. If you didn't watch the live chat, but
I hope you're feeling better anyway, Steve.
Yeah, if Steele's watching, good on you, mate. What kind of players would you be looking to bring in? You know, as mentioned there, Jordan Ayew, surely, but would you give a game to Jordan Rossiter? You know, he was on the bench, wasn't he, against Chelsea? Yeah. Good. You'd think that has he been blooded in, ready? You know, just getting him in and around the squad would make kind of sense. Let us know in the comments below, and also any fond memories about Emile Heskey and Jay Spearing. And did you think he was going to be good enough to be Steven Gerrard? In the comments section underneath. Right, let's have some score predictions. Matt, how do you think it's going to go?
2-0.
Good. Chris?
It's at Anfield, so 2-1 Liverpool.
The score. You know, it's actually the score for Spurs as well. Us and Spurs, 2-1 is the result. The result that we win. No, it's going to go one of 2 ways. It should, with our resurgent form on a high after a good performance against Chelsea. I really think we could batter Bolton here.
I hope you're right. Like I see us going 2-0 up. them scoring with 10 minutes to go, and then it being absolutely...
By that point, we've already taken off like all the best players. And
yeah, excellent. So yeah, let us know your score predictions as well in the comment section. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. If you want to watch more in-depth detailed discussion, we've got a transfer weekly show, which is obviously filled with all the players that we're definitely buying this January. The players in, players out. We actually discussed Lacazette because you asked for it. So go and check that out, redmentv.com. It's free for the month if you haven't started your subscription yet, 3-month trial. Check it out. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and we'll be back with the usual raft of post-match content after the match of the weekend. Cheers.
What do you think of that, mate?
I think we were by far, they shit themselves against us.
There was a faint smell of shit around
they were, and they can't sing, they only sing about our players. We sing songs because we're the only team that can.